Hello viewers, we are going to discuss the lesson Evolution of ADR and its legal framework. The objectives of this lesson are to discuss the origin and evolution of ADR, to identify the laws relating to ADR in pre and post independent India, to explain the present statutory framework of ADR in India. Alternative dispute resolution, that is ADR, consists of different processes for resolving disputes outside the judicial system with the consent of the parties. ADR not only resolves the dispute, but also tends to resolve the conflict in the relationship of the parties. In ADR, the central focus is not on judging, but on ending of the dispute. ADR is not a new concept. The glimpses of ADR can be seen in different cultures and civilizations around the globe. Let us identify some instances of ADR in the world history. There are evidences that mediation and arbitration was practiced by Mary Kingdom, that is modern Syria, in 1800 BC. Diplomacy was adopted in international relations by the ancient Egypt Amarna system in 1400 BC. Arbitration was conducted by Israel's famous King Solomon in 900 BC. Arbitration under Panchayat was prevalent in India in 500 BC. Public arbitration in city-states was used by Greeks in 400 BC. Western Zhou dynasty founded a post of mediator in 100 BC. European lex mercatoria came into being in 1000 AD. Binding arbitration was done by King Alfonso the Wise of Spain in 1263 AD. Overseas diplomatic offices of Venice were established in 1400 AD. Irish arbitration law was enacted in 1632 AD, and commercial arbitration was practiced during the Dutch and British colonial period from 1624 to 1776 AD. ADR has gained prominence in the recent times owing to tremendous expansion of commerce and recognition of the existence of global economy. ADR is being increasingly supported by governments worldwide as an effective way of handling international commercial disputes without the involvement of courts. In the ancient India, laws were present since Vedic times, approximately from 4000 to 1000 BC. The Hindu lawgiver Yajnavalkya referred to three types of tribunals, that is Paga, Sreni and Kula. Paga comprised of persons residing in the same locality, irrespective of caste or employment, and were competent to decide cases in which the local public were interested. Sreni were associations of persons engaged in similar trade and included merchant guilds and were competent to decide matters relating to traders. Kula comprised of groups of kinsmen or blood relations who could investigate and decide social matters concerning particular community. These bodies resembled arbitral institutions and were referred as panchayatis, and their members were known as panchas. The proceedings before these bodies were informal in nature and free from cumbersome technicalities. Apart from these arbitral bodies, there were municipal courts like Pradvivaka, that is, the tribunal of the chief judge appointed by the king, courts of inferior judges appointed by sovereign's authority for local jurisdiction, and the court of the Raja or king in person. The decisions of the arbitral bodies were final and binding on the parties, but were subject to revision. The appeals were allowed from the decisions of Kula to Sreni, Sreni to Paga, Paga to Pradvivaka, and finally from Pradvivaka to the court of Raja or king. In later times, Buddhism propounded mediation as the wisest method of resolving disputes. Gautama Buddha promoted mediation, stating that mediation leads to wisdom and focuses on the future instead of dwelling in the past. The courts have also identified the existence of ADR in ancient India. The full bench of Bombay High Court observed in the case of Channabasappa versus Basalingaya that arbitration was a striking feature of Indian life and it was much more prevalent than the arbitration system in England. The courts have also given recognition to the awards of the panchayats, except where serious flaws or misconduct or bias were noticed. For instance, in the case of Sitana versus Veerana, the Privy Council affirmed an award of the panchayat in a family dispute. However, with the changing times, the functioning of these arbitral bodies became inadequate. Even today, some are still found in the rural and tribal areas of India. Let us move to ADR in Mughal period. During Muslim rule in India, all Muslims were governed by the Islamic laws, that is Sharia, as contained in the Hidayah, a commentary on Islamic laws. The non-Muslims continued to be governed by their own personal laws, which have been described as Hindu law. However, with respect to transactions between Muslims and non-Muslims, a hybrid system of arbitration laws developed. The Hidayah contained provisions for arbitration between the parties. In the Arabic language, arbitration was called as tahkim and arbitrator was called as hakam. An arbitrator was required to possess the qualities essential for a qazi, who is an official judge of the Islamic court of law. The award of arbitrator was binding on the parties except in cases of any legal infirmity. If the parties to the dispute were not satisfied with the arbitral award, a reference would be made to the qazi, who would give effect to the award on being satisfied with respect to its legality and validity. As such, the award was subject to approval by a court. Even panchayat system continued to exist during this period. The British rule led to the introduction of common law system into India, and the traditional system of dispute resolution gradually declined. The institution of hierarchical court system, elaborate codes of procedure, priority of statutory law over customary law, doctrine of precedent, institution of professional lawyer were introduced in India. As such, judicial dispute resolution, that is JDR, gained prominence over the ADR in India. Even though JDR is a well designed system, it has its own strengths and weaknesses. Realizing the facts and the need for ADR, the British gave statutory recognition to ADR in India. Let us look at these developments. Bengal regulations. These regulations were made by the British to govern the arbitration in India. Regulation 1772 made a provision for arbitration in cases of disputed accounts and other matters, and the award passed by arbitrator became decree of the court. Regulation 1781 stated that the award of arbitrator was final except in cases of gross corruption or partiality by the arbitrator. Regulation 1787 empowered the court to refer certain suits of value not exceeding of rupees 200 relating to accounts, partnerships, debts, non-performance of contracts, etc. to arbitration. Regulation 1793 empowered the courts to refer matters to arbitration and also appoint a third person as arbitrator with the consent of the parties. Regulation 1813 extended arbitrators' jurisdiction with respect to rights in land. Regulation 1814 withdrew the restriction imposed on vakils, that is advocates, to act as arbitrators. Regulation 1822 empowered the revenue officers to refer rent and revenue cases to arbitration and also directed the collectors to encourage parties to refer their disputes to arbitration. Regulation 1832 empowered the panchayats to settle certain disputes. Apart from this, the Madras and Bombay provinces also made some regulations in respect of arbitration. Code of Civil Procedure. The regulations of Bengal, Bombay and Madras remained in force till the first Code of Civil Procedure was enacted in 1859. The law relating to arbitration was incorporated in Chapter 6 and Sections 312 to 327 of CPC. The Code of 1859 was repealed by new enactments in the years 1877 and 1882, but the provisions of arbitration were not disturbed. The Code of 1882 was replaced by the Code of Civil Procedure 1908, and the provisions regarding arbitration were incorporated in the second schedule, section 89 and clauses A to F of subsection 1 of section 104 of the code. Indian Arbitration Act 1899. This act was based on English Arbitration Act of 1889. It was made applicable to matters that were not pending before the court, and its scope was confined to arbitration by agreement without the intervention of a court. It recognized for the first time reference of disputes that might arise in future to an arbitrator, whether named or not. The actual operation of this act was confined to Presidency towns. The Arbitration Protocol and Convention Act 1937. This act came into force on 4th March 1937, and it gave effect to the Geneva Protocol on Arbitration Clauses 1923 and Geneva Convention on the Execution of Foreign Arbitral Awards 1927. The Act provides for enforcement of arbitral agreements and foreign awards to which Geneva Protocol and Convention applied. The Arbitration Act 1940. This Act repealed and replaced the Arbitration Act of 1899, arbitration sections under CPC of 1908, and all provisions relating to arbitration were consolidated under this Act. It was based on the English Arbitration Act of 1934 and came into force on 1st July 1940. The Act dealt with arbitration without intervention of a court, arbitration with intervention of court where no suit is pending, and arbitration in suits. Several changes have taken place in the area of ADR after independence. Let us examine these developments in a chronological order. Foreign Awards Recognition and Enforcement Act 1961. This act was enacted for enforcement of foreign awards under the Convention on the Recognition and Enforcement of Foreign Arbitral Awards 1958, commonly known as New York Convention. The act prescribed the law and procedure for enforcement of foreign awards in India, to which the convention applied. At this stage, arbitration in India was governed by three enactments, that is, the Arbitration Protocol and Convention Act 1937, the Arbitration Act 1940 and the Foreign Awards Regulation and Enforcement Act 1961. These acts were not much effective, as the arbitral awards were being challenged in courts on one ground or the other. Even the Law Commission's 76th report made suggestions for amendment of the Arbitration Act of 1940. UNCITRAL rules and model law. The United Nations Commission on International Trade Law, that is UNCITRAL, was established by the UN General Assembly resolution on 17th December 1966 to coordinate the legal activities in the field of international trade law. The UNCITRAL adopted arbitration rules in 1976, conciliation rules in 1980 and the model law on international commercial arbitration on 21st June 1985. The important feature of UNCITRAL model law and rules is that they have harmonized different legal systems of the world on concepts of arbitration and conciliation, and contain provisions which are designed for universal application. Legal Services Authority Act 1987. The Committee for Implementing Legal Aid Schemes, that is CILAS, constituted by the Ministry of Law and Justice in 1980, recommended the establishment of Lok Adalats. Consequently, Lok Adalat attained statutory recognition under the Legal Services Authority Act 1987, which came into force from 9th November 1995. Under this Act, Lok Adalat has jurisdiction to determine and arrive at a compromise or settlement between the parties to a dispute in respect of any matter falling within the jurisdiction of any civil, criminal or revenue courts or of any tribunal for which the Lok Adalat is organized. The Legal Services Authority Amendment Act 2002 inserted Chapter 6A in the Act, which provides for setting up of permanent Lok Adalats to deal with disputes pertaining to public utility services. Malimat Committee. Towards the end of 1980s, when arrears of cases in different courts in India crossed 25 million and the need for ADR was severely felt, the Government of India constituted the Malimat Committee on alternative modes and forums of dispute resolution, headed by Justice V. S. Malimat, which submitted its report in August 1990. The committee identified the various causes responsible for pending litigation in India and endorsed the recommendations made by Law Commission's 124th and 129th reports, which emphasized on empowering the courts to compel parties of private litigation to resort to arbitration or mediation. Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996. The UNCITRAL model law on international commercial arbitration and the International Commercial Arbitration Act 1986 of British Columbia were kept as model for preparing this act. The Arbitration and Conciliation Bill 1995 was first introduced in Rajya Sabha on 16th May 1995. As the Parliament was not in session, the President promulgated the Arbitration and Conciliation Ordinance 1996 on 16th January 1996, which came into force from 25th of January 1996. Subsequently, the ordinance was extended for 2 times, and finally, the Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996 was enacted with the assent of both houses of the Parliament and came into effect from 22nd August 1996. It has been held by the Supreme Court in the case of Furest De Lawson Limited versus Jindal Exports India Limited that although the act was brought into force with effect from 22/8/1996, it became effective from 25/1/1996 when the first ordinance was brought into force. The state of Jammu and Kashmir also enacted its own Jammu and Kashmir Arbitration and Conciliation Act in 1997. The Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996 repealed all earlier enactments on arbitration and is the primary law governing arbitration and conciliation in India. It minimizes the supervisory role of the courts and tries to meet the specific needs of international commercial arbitration based on the harmonized concept of arbitration and conciliation. Code of Civil Procedure Amendment Act 1999. This act inserted section 89, order 10, rules 1A, 1B and 1C in the CPC with effect from 1/7/2002. These provisions empower the court wherever possible to refer disputes to arbitration, conciliation, judicial settlement through Lok Adalat or mediation by formulating terms of a possible settlement with the help of the parties. The Law Commission's 238th report made recommendations for amending these provisions in the light of Supreme Court's judgment in the case of Afcons Infrastructure Limited versus Cherian Varke Construction Private Limited. But the amendments to that effect have not been made so far. ADR and Mediation Rules 2003. The constitutional validity of section 89 of CPC was challenged before the Supreme Court in the case of Salem Advocate Bar Association, Tamil Nadu versus Union of India. The Supreme Court held that it was imperative to resort to ADR with a view to reduce pendency of cases in various courts. The Supreme Court also appointed a committee headed by Justice M. Jagannatha Rao, former judge of Supreme Court and chairman of Law Commission of India, which prepared draft model rules for ADR and mediation in 2003, and the same were adopted by the High Courts. Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Bill 2015. Law Commission in its 246th report in August 2015, which was supplemented by another report in February 2015, suggested extensive amendments to the Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996 in the light of current trends and various decisions of the Supreme Court. Basing on such recommendations, the Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Bill 2015 was proposed to be passed in the budget session of the Parliament, but it was not introduced and the same is pending. Apart from the above statutes, the tribunal system evolved in India to provide an alternative to the regular courts. The tribunals are presided over by experts of respective fields. Their adjudication mechanism is cost effective and takes much less time in comparison to regular courts. The Income Tax Appellate Tribunal, the Central Administrative Tribunal, the State Administrative Tribunals, the Debt Recovery Tribunal, the Railway Tribunal, the Green Tribunal, the Consumer Forums, etc. are some examples of tribunals in India. Many laws in India provide for settlement of dispute through ADR. Let us look at some of these acts. Industrial Disputes Act 1947. The concept of conciliation received legal recognition for the first time in this Act. As per section 4 and 5 of this Act, conciliators and conciliation board shall be constituted and the industrial disputes shall be referred to them before approaching the court. The complete machinery for conducting conciliation proceedings is provided under the Act. Hindu Marriage Act 1955. The Act provides for mediation in matrimonial disputes. As per section 23, subclause 2 of the Act, it is the duty of the court to make an endeavour at the first instance to bring about reconciliation between the parties before proceeding to grant any relief. Family Courts Act 1984. This Act provides for institution of special courts for dealing with family disputes. As per section 9 of the Act, a duty is cast upon the family court to make an endeavour to assist and persuade the parties in arriving at a settlement. Further, if the family court feels that there is a reasonable possibility of settlement between the parties, the matter should be referred for mediation. Gram Nyayalaya Act 2008. It provides for establishment of Gram Nyayalayas at the grassroots level for the purpose of providing access to justice to the citizens at their doorstep. As per section 26 of the Act, Gram Nyayalayas can conciliate for settlement of disputes as per the procedure prescribed by the High Courts. Further, corresponding enactments have also been made at the state level. Compoundable criminal offences. Compounding or settling of criminal cases is a form of ADR contained in the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973. The section 320 of the code contains two tables, one for offences which can be settled without permission of the court and other for offences which can be compounded only with the permission of the court. Plea bargaining. Plea bargaining is a form of ADR which provides for pre-trial negotiation and settlement between the prosecution, victim and the accused, where in certain cases the accused has the option of admitting the guilt and settling for a lesser punishment. It was introduced in India by Chapter 21A of the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973 by the Criminal Law Amendment Act 2005. Now, from this lesson, we have learned various facets of alternative dispute resolution in India and how it has travelled and transformed from 1800 BC to 2015 AD. ADR is a dynamic institution which has evolved with changing times, and it supplements and complements the judiciary in providing complete justice. Hope you enjoyed this lesson. See you in the next class. Thank you.